My name is Brooke, I am 29 years old. I stood perfectly still on my side of the apartment door. My hand hovered over the deadbolt, but I didn't turn it. I just watched through the peephole. My mother was out in the hallway. She looked like a mess. She was crying, shaking, and fumbling with her car keys. She looked terrified. But I knew she wasn't terrified for me. She was terrified because, for the first time in my life, I wasn't fixing things for her. Today was my birthday. My phone sat on the kitchen counter behind me completely silent. No calls, no texts, no cards in the mail. For the 5th year in a row, my own family had forgotten the day I was born. But I knew they hadn't forgotten everything. I knew exactly what they had done for my sister. I knew where their money and their love went. My mother knocked again, harder this time. She called my name, her voice cracking. Usually I would open the door immediately. I would comfort her. I would pretend it didn't hurt that she didn't bring a gift or even a simple card. Not today. Today, I gave them the only thing they had earned, my silence. I took a deep breath and prepared to open the door, not to welcome her in, but to finally let myself out. But before I tell you how everything flipped, like and subscribe, drop a comment. Where are you watching from? To understand why I stood behind that door watching my mother cry without feeling a single ounce of pity, you have to understand the 28 years that came before that moment. You have to understand that I didn't just wake up one morning and decide to be cold. I didn't decide to be cruel. I was taught to be this way. I was trained to be invisible by the very people who were supposed to see me. Growing up, I thought love was a transaction. I thought it was something you purchased with good behavior. I thought it was something you earned with straight A's, clean rooms, and silence. In my house, there were 2 daughters, but there was only one child. My sister Ashley was the child. I was the investment plan, I was the backup, I was the help. Ashley was 2 years younger than me. From the moment she was born, she was the center of the universe. She was loud, messy, and demanding. And my parents loved it. They called her spirited. They called her full of life. When she drew on the walls with permanent marker, they laughed and took a picture. When she failed a math test, they hired a private tutor and took her for ice cream to cheer her up. When I brought home a report card with perfect grades, my father would just nod. He would scan the paper, look for a mistake, and when he didn't find one, he would put it down on the counter. "Good," he would say. "That's what we expect, Brooke." That was it. No ice cream, no celebration. Just the heavy weight of expectation. I remember one Christmas when I was 12. I had saved my allowance for 6 months to buy my mother a silver locket. It wasn't cheap. I had skipped buying lunch at school. I had done extra chores for the neighbors. I wanted to see her face light up. I wanted her to look at me the way she looked at Ashley. Christmas morning came. I sat by the tree, holding my small wrapped box. Ashley was tearing through presents like a whirlwind. She got the clothes she wanted, the new phone, the makeup kit. I got a few books and a sweater I hadn't asked for. When it was time to give gifts, I handed the locket to my mother. My hands were shaking. She opened it. She looked at the silver heart. "Oh, Brooke, that's nice," she said. "Nice." Then Ashley stood up. She hadn't bought anything. She had forgotten to buy anything. She grabbed a piece of wrapping paper from the floor, crumpled it into a ball, and threw it at my dad playfully. "My gift is my presents," she yelled, laughing. My parents roared with laughter. My mother hugged her tight, kissing the top of her head. "You are a gift, Ash, you really are." I sat there with my nice locket, feeling like I had disappeared. That was the dynamic. Ashley existed, and that was enough. I worked, I tried, I gave, and it was never enough. As we got older, it only got worse. The favoritism became financial. It became blatant. I worked 2 jobs in college to pay for my tuition. I lived in a cramped dorm room with 3 other girls. I ate instant noodles. I never asked my parents for a dime because I knew the answer. They always said money was tight. They said they were saving for retirement. But Ashley went to a private university out of state. My parents paid her full tuition. They paid for her sorority dues. They paid for her spring break trips to Mexico. When I asked my mom about it once, just once, she got defensive. "Brooke, you're so independent," she said, as if it was a compliment. "You know how to take care of yourself. Ashley, she needs a little more help. She's sensitive." Sensitive was their code word for spoiled. Independent was their code word for neglected. I accepted it. I swallowed the hurt because I thought that if I just kept being the good daughter, eventually they would notice. Eventually, the score would settle. I became the family safety net. When my dad needed help figuring out his taxes, he called me. When my mom needed someone to drive her to a doctor's appointment because Ashley was too busy with her friends, she called me. And I always said yes. I said yes because I was desperate for those car rides. I was desperate for those few minutes where my mother was trapped in a seat next to me, forced to talk to me. I would ask her about her day. I would tell her about my job. She would listen, but her eyes were always on her phone, checking Ashley's social media. "Did you see what your sister posted?" She would interrupt me. "She's at such a lovely restaurant. Look at her hair." "Yeah, Mom. It's nice." I never hated Ashley, that's the sad part. I tried to be a good big sister, but Ashley learned from my parents. She learned that I was there to be used. Last year, the shared savings account started. It was my dad's idea. He said the family needed a rainy day fund. He said we should all contribute. "We're a team," he said at dinner. "Family supports family." I put in $500 every month. It was a stretch for me. I was saving for a house, but I wanted to be part of the team. I wanted to prove I was loyal. Ashley put in nothing, not a cent. "She's just starting out, Brooke," my dad said when I checked the statement. "Give her time." I saw the balance grow. Most of it was my money. I felt proud. I thought, look at this. I'm taking care of us. I didn't know then that I wasn't saving for a rainy day. I was saving for my own heartbreak. The older I got, the more the silence grew. My birthdays became less and less significant. My 21st birthday, they sent a card a week late. My 25th birthday, they came for dinner, but spent the whole time talking about Ashley's boyfriend problems. But I kept trying. I was the one who organized their anniversary parties. I was the one who bought the Father's Day gifts and signed Ashley's name on the card because she forgot. I was enabling my own abuse. I was teaching them that they could treat me like furniture. Useful, necessary, but completely ignored until they needed to sit down. I thought I could do it forever. I thought I was strong enough to be the unloved one. I thought that was my role in life. But everyone has a breaking point. You can only be invisible for so long before you start to wonder if you even exist. The breaking point didn't come with a scream. It didn't come with a fight. It came with a notification. Yesterday was my 29th birthday. I had taken the day off work. I didn't have big plans. I just wanted a quiet day. But deep down, in that childish part of my heart that never learns, I was waiting. I woke up at 7 a.m. I checked my phone. Nothing, that was okay. It was early. I made coffee. I sat by the window. I watched people walking their dogs. I checked my phone at 9 a.m. Nothing. No happy birthday text from Mom. No call from Dad. No funny meme from Ashley. By noon, the silence was getting loud. I started making excuses for them. It's a Tuesday, I told myself. They are at work. Mom is busy with her garden club. Dad is probably in meetings. Ashley is. Well, Ashley is Ashley. I went out for lunch by myself. I bought a sandwich. I kept my phone on the table, face up. Every time it buzzed, my heart jumped. It was a spam email. It was a work notification. It was a weather alert. It was never them. By 6 p.m., the sun was going down. The apartment was getting dark. I hadn't turned on the lights. I was just sitting on my couch, staring at the blank TV screen. The hurt was starting to turn into something else. It was turning into a cold, heavy stone in my stomach. 5 years. This was the 5th year in a row. I thought about calling them. I almost did. I almost typed out, "Hey, just wondering if you guys are coming over." But I stopped. Why was I always the one reminding them that I existed? Why did I have to beg for my own mother to remember the day she gave birth to me? I put the phone down. I ordered a small pizza. I ate 2 slices. Then, around 9:30 p.m., my phone lit up. I grabbed it. I thought, finally. They realized. They're calling to apologize. They're calling to sing to me. It wasn't a call. It was an Instagram notification. At Ashley B. Life just posted a photo. I shouldn't have looked. I knew I shouldn't have looked. But my thumb moved on its own. I opened the app. The photo filled my screen. It was bright, high quality, filtered to perfection. It was taken in the driveway of my parents' house. There was Ashley. She was screaming, her hands on her face in mock surprise. She was wearing a cute white dress. And behind her was a car. A brand new, white convertible. It had a giant red bow on the hood. Standing next to her were my parents. My dad had his arm around Ashley, beaming with pride. My mom was holding a set of keys, laughing. They looked so happy. They looked like the perfect family. I read the caption. Best parents ever. Automobile dashing. Can't believe they surprised me with this beauty, just for getting my real estate license. I am literally the luckiest girl in the world. Love you guys so much. Number new car number blessed number family goals. I stared at the photo. I zoomed in on their faces. My dad looked so proud. My mom looked so loving. They weren't busy. They weren't working late. They weren't in a meeting. They were having a party. They were celebrating. But they weren't celebrating my birthday. They were celebrating Ashley passing a real estate exam she had already failed twice. They had spent tens of thousands of dollars on a car for her. On the same day, they couldn't spend 10 seconds to send me a text message. I felt the air leave my lungs. It wasn't that they forgot. Forgetting is an accident. Forgetting is a mistake. This was a choice. They had chosen to spend my birthday celebrating her. They had chosen to ignore me. I looked at the timestamp on the photo, posted 15 minutes ago. They were all together right now. Probably eating cake, probably drinking champagne. My name hadn't even crossed their minds. I scrolled through the comments. Congrats, girl. OMG, I love your parents. And then I saw a comment from my mother. You deserve it, sweetie. So proud of you. I threw the phone across the couch. It bounced and landed on the rug. I didn't cry. I expected to cry, but the tears didn't come. Instead, a strange clarity washed over me. It was cold and sharp, like stepping into freezing water. For years, I had told myself a story. I told myself they were just bad at showing emotion. I told myself they were busy. I told myself they loved us equally, just differently. It was a lie. They weren't bad at loving. They were great at loving, they just didn't love me. They were capable of grand gestures. They were capable of spending money. They were capable of attention and affection. They just reserved all of it for Ashley. I was the bank account. I was the tech support. I was the retirement plan. I stood up and walked to the window. I looked out at the city lights. I realized then that I had wasted my entire life waiting for people who were never going to show up. I was standing at a bus stop waiting for a train. I walked back to my phone and picked it up. I looked at the photo one last time. The red bow, the keys, the smiles. Okay, I said out loud to the empty room. My voice was steady. Okay. If I didn't matter, then I didn't matter. If I was invisible, then I would be invisible. I wasn't going to call them and scream. I wasn't going to comment on the photo and cause a scene. I wasn't going to beg for an apology they didn't mean. I was going to give them exactly what they wanted. They wanted a life where I didn't bother them. Fine. I opened my banking app. I opened my phone plan settings. I opened my contacts list. The sadness was gone. It was replaced by something much more dangerous. It was replaced by power. I didn't sleep that night. The anger that had started as a cold stone in my stomach was spreading. It was fueling me. For the first time in years, my mind wasn't foggy with sadness. It was crystal clear. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop open and my phone beside me. The blue light of the screen was the only thing illuminating the room. It felt like a command center. I started with the small things. The things that would annoy them but wouldn't ruin them. I opened WhatsApp. There it was at the top of my list. The B-Team family read. It was the group chat where my mom posted pictures of her garden, my dad posted bad jokes, and Ashley posted links to clothes she wanted. It was the chat where I had sent happy anniversary and good luck Ash hundreds of times. I didn't scroll up to read old messages. I didn't want to feel nostalgia. I tapped the 3 dots in the corner, exit group. A little box popped up asking me to confirm. Are you sure you want to leave? The B-Team family read. My finger hovered over the button. Usually, guilt would stop me. I would think, what if they get their feelings hurt? Or what if they think I'm mad? But then I looked at the time. It was 11:45 p.m. My birthday was almost over. They were still celebrating. They were probably popping champagne over the steering wheel of that white convertible. They weren't worried about my feelings. I clicked exit. The chat disappeared from my list. It was gone. Next was the phone plan. I had been paying the family phone bill for 4 years. It started when my dad retired. He said they needed to cut costs. He asked if I could temporarily take over the bill until they sorted out their pension. Temporarily turned into forever. I paid $240 a month for 4 lines. My line, Mom's line, Dad's line, and Ashley's line with unlimited data because she was an influencer and needed to stream constantly. I logged into the carrier's website. I saw the account breakdown. Ashley had used 45 GB of data this month. I had used 3 GB. I went to the Manage Lines section. I selected my number, Transfer Liability. I moved my number to a separate, individual account. It took 5 minutes. Then I looked at the remaining 3 lines. The bill was set to autopay from my checking account. I canceled the autopay. Then, I went a step further. I remembered that the account was technically in my name. I was the primary account holder. That meant I controlled the service. I found the button for suspend service. There was an option for lost/stolen or vacation. I didn't choose those. I chose suspend for non-payment risk. I hesitated for a second. This was aggressive. If I did this, their phones would stop working immediately. No calls, no data, no texts. I thought about Ashley posting that photo. I thought about my mom commenting on it. I clicked suspend. The screen refreshed. Status, suspended. They wouldn't know until they tried to make a call or refresh Instagram. But when they did, the screen would just say no service. I felt a strange little thrill. It wasn't happiness. It was the feeling of dropping a heavy backpack I had been carrying for a decade. Now for the big one, the money. I logged into my bank account. My heart started beating faster now. This was serious. This wasn't just a phone bill. This was life savings. I clicked on the account labeled Family Emergency Fund. It was a joint account. My name was on it. My dad's name was on it. That meant legally, we both had 100% access to the money. The balance was $18,400. I knew exactly where that money came from. My dad had put in the initial $1,000 3 years ago. My mom had put in maybe $500 total over the years. Ashley had contributed $0. The rest, nearly $17,000, was mine. It was my monthly deposits. It was my bonuses from work. It was money I had sacrificed vacations for because my dad said we needed a safety net. Well, there was an emergency now. The emergency was that I was done being used. I clicked transfer funds. I selected the destination. Brooks Personal Savings External. I typed in the amount, $18,400. I left the account with $0. I reviewed the transfer. The bank warned me that a transfer this large might take 24 hours to clear. That was fine, I could wait. I clicked submit, transfer successful. I sat back in my chair. My hands were trembling, but not from fear. I was shaking from adrenaline. I had just cut off their communication and their money supply in less than 20 minutes. I had one last thing to do. I picked up my phone. I went to my contacts. I found Mom, block caller. I found Dad, block caller. I found Ashley, block caller. I went to my medical records app. I removed my mother as my emergency contact. I replaced her with my best friend from college, Sarah. I went to my landlord's portal. I removed my father from the authorized guest list. I scrubbed them from my life. I erased the connections that allowed them to reach me. I finally closed my laptop at 1 a.m. The apartment was silent. For the first time in my life, the silence didn't feel lonely. It felt like a fortress. It felt like I had pulled up the drawbridge and locked the gates. I walked to my bedroom. I didn't check my phone again. I crawled into bed and pulled the covers up to my chin. My birthday was officially over. But my life was just starting. The next morning, I went to work as usual. I worked as a project manager at a logistics firm. It was a demanding job, lots of spreadsheets and deadlines. Usually, I was distracted. I would be checking my phone, worried about my mom's health or Ashley's drama. But today, I was laser-focused. I breezed through my meetings. I cleared my inbox. My phone sat on my desk, screen down. Around 10:30 a.m., the panic must have started. I couldn't see the calls because I had blocked them, but I could imagine it. I imagined Ashley waking up late, reaching for her phone to check the likes on her car photo. She would try to refresh her feed. The little wheel would spin and spin. No internet connection. She would toggle the Wi-Fi. She would restart the phone. Nothing. She would try to call Mom. Call failed. She would panic. For Ashley, no data was like no oxygen. Then my dad would try to use his card. Maybe he was buying gas. Maybe he was buying coffee. He would get the notification. Transfer alert. Or maybe he would log in to check the balance and see the zero. I worked through lunch. I felt a strange sense of calm. It was like I was watching a movie of my own life, but I was finally the director. By 2 p.m., the emails started coming. I hadn't blocked their email addresses. I wanted to keep a record. I wanted to see the shift. The first email was from Ashley. Subject, phone. Brooke, why is my phone not working? It says service suspended. Did you forget to pay the bill? Mom's is off too. Fix it ASAP, I need to post. I read it and took a sip of my water. No hello. No happy belated birthday. Just a demand, fix it. I didn't reply. I dragged it into a folder I named Evidence. An hour later, another email from Ashley. Subject, are you serious? Brooke, call me. Dad is freaking out. He says something is wrong with the bank too. Pick up your phone. I kept working. At 4 p.m. an email came from my father. Subject, please call immediately. Brooke, I can't reach you. Your mother is worried. The phone service is down and there has been some unauthorized activity on the savings account. We need to speak right now. This isn't funny. Unauthorized activity. That's what he called it. Taking my own money back was unauthorized. I didn't reply. By the time I left work, I had 12 emails. The tone was shifting. It went from annoyed to confused to angry. I drove home in silence. Usually, I would call my mom on the drive home. Today, I listened to the radio. I sang along to a song I hadn't heard in years. When I got to my apartment complex, I checked the parking lot nervously. I half expected to see the new white convertible parked there. But the lot was empty. They lived an hour away. They were probably still trying to figure out if it was a technical glitch or a bank error. They couldn't imagine that I had done this. Brooke the doormat. Brooke the fixer. She wouldn't dare. I went inside. I made myself a nice dinner. Salmon and roasted vegetables. I poured a glass of wine. 2 days passed like this. The silence from my end was absolute. The noise from their end was deafening, even though I wasn't listening to it. On the second day, the emails became desperate. From Mom subject, Brooke, honey, please, are you okay? We are so worried. We can't call you. Is your phone broken too? Dad is going to the bank tomorrow. Please just email us back so we know you're alive. They weren't worried I was dead. They were worried their safety net was gone. I knew the pattern. First came the confusion, then came the anger, then came the guilt. My dad sent a long email on the evening of the second day. From Dad subject, we need to talk. Brooke, I went to the bank. They told me you authorized the transfer. I don't understand what is happening. That money was for the family. You know Ashley needs help with her insurance for the new car. You can't just take it. That is theft. If you don't transfer it back by tomorrow, we are going to have a very serious problem. Call me. I laughed out loud in my empty kitchen. Theft. He called taking my own earnings theft. He was so used to my money being his money that he couldn't tell the difference anymore. He mentioned the insurance for the new car. That was the kicker. They bought her a car they couldn't afford to insure, assuming I would pay for it out of the savings account. They had spent my money before they even asked for it. I didn't reply. I didn't explain. I didn't justify. I knew that explaining wouldn't work. I had tried explaining my feelings for years. Words didn't work on them. Only consequences worked. I prepared myself. I knew the digital wall wouldn't hold them forever. They were losing control. And when narcissists lose control, they escalate. They wouldn't just send emails forever. They would come. On the evening of the third day after my birthday, I was sitting on my couch reading a book. It was raining outside. A heavy gray rain that battered against the glass. Then my buzzer rang. BZZZZT. I jumped. I wasn't expecting anyone. I walked to the intercom. I didn't press the talk button. I just looked at the grainy black and white camera feed. It was a car in the driveway, not the white convertible. It was my dad's old sedan. My mother was standing at the front door of the building. She wasn't wearing a coat, even though it was raining. She was pressing the buzzer over and over again. BZZZT, BZZZT, BZZZT. I watched her. She looked frantic. Her hair was wet. She was holding her purse tight against her chest. She looked like a victim. If I had been the old Brooke, I would have buzzed her in immediately. I would have run down with a towel. I would have apologized for worrying her. But I looked at the timestamp on the camera. 3 days since my birthday, 3 days since they forgot me. I didn't buzz her in. I went back to the couch and sat down. 5 minutes later, there was a heavy pounding on my actual apartment door. They must have tailgated someone else into the building. Bang, bang, bang. Brooke, Brooke, open this door. It was my mother's voice. She was crying. I stood up slowly. I walked to the door. I didn't open it. I looked through the peephole. She was there. Mascara streaked down her face. She was trembling. She looked small. Brooke, please, I know you're in there. I took a deep breath. This was it, the showdown. I unlocked the deadbolt. The click sounded like a gunshot in the quiet hallway. I turned the handle and opened the door. I opened the door, but I didn't step aside. I stood right in the center of the frame, blocking the way. My mother looked like she had been through a war. Her hair was plastered to her forehead from the rain. Her blouse was soaked. Her eyes were red and swollen, wild with panic. When she saw me, she let out a sob that sounded more like a gasp for air. Brooke, she cried. She reached out for me, her hands trembling. Oh my God, you're alive, we thought. We didn't know what happened. She tried to hug me. She tried to collapse into my arms like she always did, expecting me to catch her, to hold her up, to be the strong one. I took a step back. Her arms fell to her sides, embracing nothing but air. She froze, looking at me with confusion. "Brooke," she whispered, "why are you looking at me like that?" "Come in," I said. My voice was calm. It was terrifyingly steady. She walked past me into the apartment. She looked around frantically, as if checking for signs of a struggle, or maybe checking to see if I had packed my bags. "Why didn't you answer?" she asked, her voice rising in pitch. She started pacing the living room, dripping rainwater onto my hardwood floor. "Your father is sick with worry. Ashley is hysterical. Our phones are dead. The bank account is empty. We thought you were hacked. We thought someone stole your identity." She turned to face me. "Why didn't you call us back?" I closed the door gently. I locked the deadbolt again. "I didn't call because I didn't want to talk to you," I said. She stopped pacing. Her mouth opened slightly, but no words came out. She blinked, water dripping from her eyelashes. "What?" she finally managed. "Brooke, what are you talking about? We're your family." "Sit down, Mom," I said. I pointed to the armchair. Not the couch where I was sitting. The single chair across the room. She sat down slowly, perched on the edge of the seat like she was ready to bolt. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. "You cut off the phones," she said, accusation creeping into her tone now that she knew I was safe. "You took the money. Do you know how embarrassing it was? Dad tried to pay for gas and his card was declined." "Declined, Brooke." She was already making it about them, about their embarrassment, about their inconvenience. "And Ashley," she continued, gaining momentum. "She needs that phone for her work, you know that. She's been crying for 2 days. She can't post anything about the new car. It's ruining her launch week." There it was, the car. She said it so casually, as if it was a normal thing. As if buying one daughter a luxury vehicle while ignoring the other daughter's existence was just a standard Tuesday. I looked at her, really looked at her. I saw the lines of worry on her face, but I realized they were lines of selfishness. She wasn't worried about me. She was worried about the disruption to her comfortable life. "I saw the car," I said. My voice was soft, but it stopped her mid-sentence. The room went dead silent. The only sound was the rain tapping against the window pane. My mother froze. Her eyes shifted away from mine, darting to the floor, then to the wall, anywhere but my face. "The car," she stammered. "Oh, well, yes, we wanted to surprise her. She's been working so hard on that real estate license. You know how hard she studies." "She failed the test twice, Mom," I said. "And she studied for a total of 3 weeks. She has anxiety," my mother snapped, defensive immediately. "It's harder for her." "I saw the car," I repeated, ignoring her excuse. "I saw the picture on Instagram, the red bow. The balloons, the smiles." I walked over to the kitchen counter and picked up my phone. I unlocked it and opened the photo I had saved. I held it up to her face. "You looked so happy," I said. "What time was this taken?" She squinted at the screen. "I don't know, Tuesday evening, why does it matter?" "Tuesday evening," I nodded. "Around 7 p.m. I suppose so. We took her out for dinner afterwards." "Tuesday," I said again. "The 14th. I lowered the phone. I looked her dead in the eye. "Do you know what else happened on Tuesday, Mom?" She looked blank. She genuinely didn't know. She furrowed her brow, searching her memory. It was Tuesday," she said helplessly. "It was my birthday," I said. The color drained from her face. It happened instantly. One second she was flushed with indignation, the next she was pale as a sheet. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God," she whispered. 5 years, I said. I didn't yell. I didn't scream. I just listed the facts. "For 5 years in a row you have forgotten my birthday, not a gift, not a card, not a text." "Brooke, she started to stand up. "Sit down," I said. She sat. "On my 25th birthday, you came over and complained about Dad. On my 26th, you forgot completely. On my 27th, you called me 2 days late to ask for money. On my 28th, nothing. And now, on my 29th birthday, you bought my sister a $30,000 car." "We didn't mean to," she cried. Tears were spilling out again. "Brooke, please, it's been a crazy week. We were just so focused on Ashley passing her exam. It slipped our minds. We love you, you know we love you." "Do I asked. "How would I know that? We're your parents." "That's a title," I said. "That's not an action. Love is an action, and your actions show me exactly where I stand." I walked over to the window and looked out at the rain. "I stood behind this door 3 days ago," I said, my back to her. "I waited all day. I checked my phone every 5 minutes. I thought, maybe this year they'll remember. And then I saw that picture. I saw you celebrating. You weren't busy, Mom. You weren't sick. You were partying. I turned back to face her. You used my money to help pay for that car, didn't you? She looked down at her hands, twisting her wedding ring. We were going to put it back, she mumbled. We just needed a down payment. The rates were good, we thought. Since you had the savings. Since I had the savings, I repeated. Since I worked overtime. Since I skipped vacations. Since I drove a 6-year-old Honda while Ashley drives a brand new convertible. She needs a reliable car for work, my mom yelled, trying to find some moral high ground. She's a realtor, image matters. I am your daughter, I shouted. My voice finally broke. The calm cracked just for a second. I matter, or I should matter. The room rang with the echo of my shout. My mother shrank back into the chair. She looked small and pathetic. We love you, she whispered again. It was her only defense. It was the only weapon she had left. Then why didn't you act like it? I asked. Why did I have to buy my own birthday cake? Why did I have to be the one to fix the Wi-Fi and do the taxes and pay the phone bill and fund the savings account while Ashley got the glory? She didn't answer. She couldn't answer. I'm done, Mom, I said. The calm returned. I'm canceling the phone plan permanently tomorrow. The money in the savings account is mine. I have the bank statements to prove every deposit came from my paycheck. It's staying in my account. You can't do that, she said, her voice trembling. We rely on that account. What if something happens? Then you call Ashley, I said. She has a new car. Maybe she can sell it. My mother looked at me with horror. She realized finally that I wasn't throwing a tantrum. I wasn't looking for an apology so we could move on. I was ending it. You're cutting us off, she asked, her voice barely audible. Over a birthday? No, I said. Not over a birthday, over a lifetime. My mother stared at me. The reality of what I said was sinking in, slow and heavy like the rain outside. She looked around my apartment again, but this time, she wasn't looking for clues. She was looking at it like she was seeing it for the last time. You can't do this, she pleaded. Her voice was thin, desperate. We're family. You can't just resign from your family. I didn't resign, I said. I was fired. You fired me a long time ago, Mom. You just kept me around to clean up the mess. She stood up. She walked toward me, her hands out, palms up. It was the pose of a beggar. Brooke, please, I'm sorry. Okay. Is that what you want to hear? I am so sorry. We messed up. We forgot. We'll make it up to you. We'll have a big dinner this weekend, just us. No, Ashley, we'll celebrate you. I looked at her. A week ago, that promise would have made me happy. A week ago, I would have accepted the crumbs. I would have thought, finally, my turn. But now, looking at her tear-stained face, I felt nothing. The words were empty. They were just panic masquerading as love. She wasn't offering dinner because she wanted to celebrate me. She was offering dinner to buy back her safety net. I don't want a dinner, I said. Then what do you want? She cried. Tell me what you want. Do you want a car? Is that it? We'll figure it out. We'll get you a car. I laughed. It was a short, dry sound. I don't want a car, Mom. I bought my own car. Remember, 3 years ago, I paid for it myself. Then what? She screamed. What do you want from us? I looked her in the eyes. I let the silence stretch between us one last time. Nothing, I said. She blinked. Nothing. I want absolutely nothing from you, I said. For 29 years, I wanted your approval. I wanted your attention. I wanted you to look at me the way you look at Ashley. I wanted you to be proud of me without me having to earn it. I took a breath. But now, I don't want it, because I realized that if I have to beg for it, it's not worth having. She stood there, stunned. She had come here expecting a fight. She expected me to yell, to demand an apology, to negotiate. She knew how to handle anger. She didn't know how to handle indifference. Brooke, she whispered. Don't say that. I'm not asking for anything anymore, I said quietly. I'm not asking you to remember my birthday. I'm not asking you to pay me back. I'm not asking you to love me. But we do love you. Family is supposed to show up. I cut her off. My voice was steel. You didn't. Not for the big things and not for the small things. You didn't show up. She looked down at her feet. The fight went out of her. She slumped, looking older than she had when she walked in. So this is it? She asked softly. You're just gone. I'm here, I said. I'm right here. I'm just not yours anymore. She stood there for a long time. I didn't push her. I didn't yell at her to get out. I just waited. Finally, she nodded. It was a small, jerky motion. She wiped her face with her sleeve. Okay, she said. Her voice was hollow. Okay. If that's how you feel. She turned and walked toward the door. Her steps were heavy. She stopped with her hand on the knob. She didn't turn back to face me. She just spoke to the wood of the door. "You'll call us?" she asked. "Eventually. When you cool down." She still didn't get it. She thought this was a heat-of-the-moment tantrum. She thought I was cooling down. She didn't realize I had been freezing for years. "Take care, Mom," I said. It wasn't a promise to call. It was a goodbye. She opened the door. The hallway was empty and quiet. She stepped out. "Brooke," she said, turning one last time. Her eyes were pleading. "We're your parents." I looked at her. I saw the woman who gave birth to me. I saw the woman who raised me, but I didn't see a mother. A mother protects you. A mother nurtures you. "I know," I said. I stepped forward and gently took the door handle from her hand. "Goodbye." I closed the door. I didn't slam it. There was no dramatic bang, just the soft click of the latch sliding into place. I locked the deadbolt. Click. I put on the chain. Slide. I leaned my forehead against the cool wood of the door. I waited for the crash. I waited for the wave of guilt to knock me over. I waited to feel like a bad daughter. But it didn't come. Instead, I felt light. I felt quiet. The noise in my head, the constant worry about them, the constant need to please them, the constant wondering why am I not enough. It was gone. It was silenced. I walked back into my living room. It was just me. Just my furniture, my books, my life. I owned this silence. I paid for this apartment. I built this peace. For the first time, the emptiness didn't feel lonely. It felt like potential. It felt like room to grow. I went into the kitchen. On the counter, there was a small white box from the bakery down the street. I had bought it 3 days ago, on my actual birthday, but I hadn't opened it. I had been too angry, too hurt. I opened the box now. Inside was a single slice of chocolate cake. It had a little frosting flower on top. I took a small candle out of the drawer. I stuck it into the cake. I turned off the overhead lights. The only light came from the street lamps outside, filtering through the rain-streaked window. I struck a match and lit the candle. The flame flickered, then stood tall, casting a warm yellow glow on the counter. I stood there in the semi-darkness. I thought about Ashley driving her new car. I thought about my parents sitting in their house, probably arguing, probably panicking about the phone bill. I didn't wish them harm. I didn't hate them. I just didn't need them. I had spent 29 years waiting for someone to hand me a value, waiting for someone to tell me I was worth celebrating. I looked at the flame. "I am enough," I whispered. I closed my eyes. I didn't make a wish. I didn't need to wish for things anymore. I was going to make them happen. I was going to travel. I was going to save for my own house. I was going to meet friends who asked me how my day was. I took a deep breath and blew out the candle. The smoke curled up into the air, smelling of wax and sugar. "Happy birthday, Brooke," I said to the empty room, and for the first time in 5 years, I truly meant it. I turned to look directly at you. Yes, you. If you are watching this, and you know what it feels like to be the invisible one in your family, if you know what it feels like to hold everyone else up while you are drowning, if you know what it feels like to wait for a love that never comes, I want you to know that you don't have to wait. You can close the door, you can lock it, and you can light your own candle. If you've ever had to be your own hero, tell me where you're watching from in the comments. And make sure you subscribe so you never miss what happens next. Because trust me, my life is just getting started.